Well, we are all still anxiously awaiting the second half of Season 4 of Young Justice Phantoms. We got quite the cliffhanger to end off the first 3 story arcs, and we know we have lots of stuff coming our way. Many of us fans consume everything Young Justice possible, but many people don't realize there's a complete lost era of the show that most fans don't even know exists, and introduced and developed quite a few cool characters we rarely got to see. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about the lost era of Young Justice and what really went on. Now, before we dive into this though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, the huge giveaway. We got a PlayStation 5 to give away at 25,000 subscribers. All you need to do to get in on the giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Also, while you're at it, make sure you check out that free Week of Skillshare down below. It's an excellent way for you to develop all of your superhero skills for that never-ending war on crime, all while not diving too deep into your pocket. Plus, it really does help the channel, so we really appreciate it. Well, the time jumps and eras of Young Justice are something that really makes this show stand out from other animated series in a very special way. Most seasons have about a 2-year time jump between them, but the jump between Season 1 and Season 2 was a full 5 years. We opened Season 2 with major team updates, seeing multiple new members joining the team or some taking up the mantle of fallen heroes. Now, if you know the show, you know really the video game, Young Justice Legacy, served as somewhat of a Season 1.5, fitting in the middle and setting up the storyline for Season 2 Invasion. If you pay very close attention, you'll realize Legacy really does take place very close to Season 2, because you actually see the first appearance of Tim Drake as Robin during the cutscenes. This being almost 4 years after Season 1, since we know this takes place in Year 5. At least according to the showrunner Greg Weisman. Now, what happened in the time in between? Well, a ton happened. We know hardly anything about it. We do know lots of people joined the team, and many of these characters we never got to see or we've only seen in a very limited capacity. I thought this could be a pretty cool time to dive into these characters that appeared during this era and break down what happened and how they could appear in the upcoming story arcs that are being developed right now. Now, when we left off Season 1, Garth was currently not a member of the team. And during this lost era, Garth, along with Tula, both officially came to the team shortly after the conclusion of Season 1. They actually stayed with the team until Legacy when Aquagirl perished recapturing Tiamat. Now, for Garth, the original Aqualad is very much his Tempest persona in the show, and a close friend of Calder, as well as one of the other students at the Sorcerer's Academy in Atlantis. He was also dating Tula up to the time of her death. Now, he was a member of the team during this era, but since her death we have not seen too much of him. He has actually, along with Donna Troy, been one of the representatives of his nation and of metahumans to the United Nations. And we have continued to see him show up in several episodes, but if you notice, most of the time it's not as a member of the team. Now, the second person to join the team in this era was Tula. And she was a pretty big part of Season 1, but more importantly, she was a massive part of Legacy. If you didn't play the game and don't know what happened during Legacy, we have a full breakdown of the game, and you might want to check that out. It's pretty much required knowledge to figure out what happened to Aquagirl, but the short version is she actually perished fighting the Tiamat, and more or less Clarion the Witch Boy. This led to a lot of strife within the team and is the main reason Garth actually left. I always felt bad this character wasn't developed more on the show. Her appearances in Season 1 were great, and her death really did impact the team in many ways. Now, the next member is Donna Troy, aka Troya. Donna was the first Wonder Girl on Earth-16 and part of the team from 2012 to 2015 with the designation B12. We never actually saw her fight side by side with the team, but we do know she was part of the team during the Lost Era. She is, in the show, an Amazon like Wonder Woman, and her powers reflect that, but she also has a very similar magic lasso. Now, she has appeared several times in Season 3 and Season 4, but her role has changed quite a bit, and although she's still a hero with a lot going on, she's actually one of those United Nations representatives serving as the face of the Amazon as well as one of metahumans, and she's also one of the snarkiest members of the UN representatives. Now, the next one in this era was Jason Todd. And that's a big one. We have been teased with Jason the last few years, but we never actually saw him with the team. He joined the team after Season 1, and actually died before Legacy. This is why we actually saw Tim Drake in the role on the show. Now, he's only officially appeared on the show as a hologram in the team's courtyard, but me, like many of you, believe that Red Hooded Ninja is actually Jason Todd, and he could very well be set to return in the second half of Season 4. But as of today, that's still pretty unclear and not confirmed. Personally, I believe Jason Todd's return will be a pretty big part of that Nightwing arc in the second half of the season. It was set up really nicely with Artemis' story. And this brings us to the Marvels. Now, many don't know, but there have been plans to show the Marvel family within the Earth-16 universe for quite a while. Mary was part of that Girls' Day Out event and set to appear in several other places, but her and Freddy actually didn't have the character models developed in time. They were also part of the comic run, and material was developed for the latter half of the official series, but it was never used. Believe it or not, there was actually 3 characters they were thinking about adding, and 2 of them joined the team. And 2 of them joined the team during the Lost Era. Now, Freddie Freeman on the show was Lieutenant Marvel, and we have still yet to meet Freddie officially, but I do wonder if we get to meet him in the second half of the season. Now, in the comics, he's known as Captain Marvel Jr., but he was redeveloped for the series as Lieutenant Marvel and renamed just like Mary. Now, interestingly enough, his brother, at least in the comics, Kit Freeman, was set to be part of the companion comic series that was never published. Christopher Kit Freeman in the comics is Kid Eternity, a young superhero who can summon the spirits of the dead. Now, he was originally part of Quality Comics, but later on he was retconned as the brother of Freddie Freeman in Fawcett Comics, and then obviously Fawcett Comics became part of DC. Now, the other character, which we got a lot of so far this season, but not as an official team member, was Mary Bromfeld. And in those days, she was known as Sergeant Marvel. Now, like I said, we finally got to know her in the magical story arc called Sentinels of Magic, and boy did it end with a bang. We found out she was indeed part of the team during the Lost Era, and changing into Lieutenant Marvel, she became worried she was becoming addicted to the power the character brought to her, and it was corrupting her. We saw this during that testing scene with Dr. Fate, and we saw how tough this very addictive dynamic was impacting her, and we actually saw her win that first round. Now, when we got to the end of the Sentinels of Magic arc, we saw what happened, and Mary eventually, thanks to some goading from Granny Goodness, fell victim and said the magic word. We actually did a full breakdown of what's going on with Mary in Choosing Darkness, and I have to recommend you check the link out down below and dive into that a little bit so you're up to date on where Mary is at. Now, once we get to this point in the Young Justice storyline, we get some familiar faces we see a lot of. The next 2 members to join the team are Bumblebee and Batgirl, both of which have been a big part of the series. I do personally wonder what happened during this Lost Era. Robin, Troya, Aquagirl, Tempest, Lieutenant Marvel, and Sergeant Marvel are literally a great team all by themselves, and I would love to see maybe a story about these characters in that era. I have to wonder in the second half of the season if we get a little bit of a flashback. We haven't gotten the storylines for Nightwing or Aqualad yet, and this could incorporate several of these characters, but we'll have to wait and see. So what do you